So let's look at sociality as a human animal trait, because in clinical psychology and most part of the earlier psychiatric studies which were before 1950s, it's very common to see that we always studied animals, animal behaviors, and then understood human behavior. So actually by calling a human an animal being, we are actually talking in terms of science. So the reason is this discrimination or segregation of human being as a part of separate species is very recent one. Earlier it has always been human being also is one of the animals. Okay? One of the mammals, but he is an animal. So if you look at sociality, whether it is animals and the animal world, sociality is at the heart of human existence, a fact that has been acknowledged as far back as our Aristotle. Adler, who is known for his organic inferiority concept, and Rudolph were among the first in 20th century to develop theoretical perspectives on the topic, but only in the last half century, the sociality has been subjected to vigorous theoretical and empirical studies. Now, if you look at, there is a pyramid over there. If you look at the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the first need, of course, is to eat, our basic needs. Eat, sleep, and the sexual needs. But above that comes safety. So you need to protect yourself from the enemies. Now, these are animal instincts. It is not just human instincts. And later, above these two comes the need for belongingness. And this is where the human-animal interaction will become one of the important points later. This is the famous study of imprinting. If you have, I'm sure all of you must be well versed with the behavior, animal behavior of imprinting. So that is Konrad Lorenz in the picture, who is actually, the ducklings are following him. So the infant rhesus monkeys did not deny the importance of survival needs, that's food, but showed that social contact is just as important for healthy growth and development. So that is basically this particular study was of a very important thing, because when monkeys, the baby monkeys, were given food and vis-a-vis object, motherly object, not mother, without life, motherly object, which was a softer toy, monkey toy. The baby monkeys preferred that than food. Okay? So survival is important through food and other basic needs, but the social contact, though Maslow's hierarchy showed that it comes next to the basic needs, the social contact is as important, or as a psychiatrist I would say it is more important than the food and other basic needs. Because I was saying that we have these youngsters or even adults who fast for to get thin, to lose weight. Now if you look at it, probably they eat, because the days are gone when we used to have hearty meals. My grandmother has a good hearty meal. She eats 3 meals, then in afternoon and night meal she has good amount of rice, hearty. She doesn't worry about whether she puts on 1 kg weight. I think she would have hardly seen weighing machine any time. But whereas I look at my weighing machine daily, and if I would have had time, I would have looked at it 3 times a day probably. Lots of people do. And we worry about whether eating it in rice in the dinner would increase weight, whether having this particular dish whether it will increase weight, we will worry. Lots of us will worry. But what is surprising is the reason why we eat is not just to fill our stomach, but for a sense of satiety. So, the sense of hunger or sense of satiety and sense of connectedness with one more animal. I mean, be it a human being or animal in that sense. They are same. Okay? So that is why sociality actually it becomes very important part of human beings. The motivation to form and maintain close social bonds is as potent as the drive to satisfy hunger and thirst. Next slide. Coming to the social connections. Now, I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a doctor by profession, and I've seen that slowly the research is very robustly pointing at the loss of social connections, what all it can bring. Now earlier, let's say 10 years back, when I used to talk to my patients, I used to say that you should mingle with friends and go out, socially connect, all these things, because you have to stay mentally healthy, psychologically healthy. But then, now last few years, I have to tell them that if at all you want to get rid of or prevent yourself from getting diabetes, hypertension, chronic heart diseases, heart attack, stroke, cerebrovascular accidents, cancer, less of infections, whether it's zoonotic or anything, less of infections, you need to socialize. Because now, beyond doubt, research has established, we have evidence that good social connections are one of the key factors. It's like vaccinating. If you have good social connections, you are immunized against all these diseases. So that is where the socialization becomes important, and indulge in social snacks. We call it as social snacks, photos with loved ones, surrogates, parasocial attachments to television characters. So that also where the interaction happens. Now we are in the era of mobile and smaller screens. So we prefer televisions where people you can sit together and watch one entertainment. So that is better now. Next. Animals as part of life in India, I'm sure all of you are, you know about all these things better than me because you're all veterinary experts. So animals have been given divine status. In the opening of my lecture itself, I commented on how animals are celebrated in the Indian culture. It is not uncommon to see in our Purana tales to see gods in animal forms. Gods themselves take animal forms because now Vishnu took